whatever one's at the top of your list, buddy.
All right, I got the AFC North first. If we want to get right into the AFC
All right,
North.
we're getting straight into the meat of it.
All righty. So I will start with the Baltimore Ravens because I think this one was probably the hardest for me to pick.
That's tough.
I probably would have said Rashad Bateman if he didn't get hurt, just because I feel like they need. I mean, they've needed this for years, but they need someone to unlock that passing game, be a legit number one there, and he'll be back. Maybe it's still him. Maybe like that's still a fine choice. I went with Tyus Bowser because I feel like their defense is kind of getting a lot older in the front seven. Like, Calais Campbell's still good, but I mean, he's got to drop off at some point. Brandon Williams, same thing. But they let Matt Judon go, who was kind of the leader of that front seven. And I think Tyus Bowser can be that guy. So I think his performance really like changes the trajectory of the defense because yeah, they have the best cornerback duo in the NFL, but like they still need a pass rush and they still need someone up front to kind of like man that front seven. So I went with Tyus Bowser.
I wasn't as specific. I literally just put front seven.
Yeah, I mean it's same idea. Yeah, like they really don't have. I don't think Justin Houston's still going to be. I mean he can be a third down specialist, but yeah, they need that front seven's concerning. I think,
especially in the division that they're in.
Yeah,
the Cleveland Browns having two of the top, whatever you could argue, two of top 15, 10, whatever running backs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Najee Harris, brand new. Joe Mixon, a very, very formidable running back.
Mm.
You have to get, and really, the Steelers still throw it around the yard. The Browns are going to throw it all over the place, no matter how good our running back core is. You got to get to the quarterback, and you got to stop the run in this division. It's just, it is what it is. If they don't play well, I don't think the Ravens are going to win that many games. I mean, other than the ones that, Lamar runs around and scores all the touchdowns.
Yeah, and I almost thought about Gus Edwards too, especially with Dobbins getting hurt. But like, I don't really think he's an X factor. We kind of know what he is. Like, he's a fine player. Like, he's a good running back. Like,
he's gonna lower his head and get you about 3 yards every time. You might get a little more, but like,
yeah,
that's about it. Yeah.
All right.
Next.
So I'll go with the Bengals next. This one was kind of boring. I was thinking about someone on offense, but I just kind of feel like I kind of know what their offense is going to be. And I really would have picked Joe Burrow if we could have done QBs, but I think we'd pick QBs for most teams if we could have done QBs. So I went with Trey Hendrickson because he was a big free agent signing this offseason. They let go of Carl Lawson, who got paid less and I think is a much better player than Trey Hendrickson. They just need someone to generate a pass rush. Like, Sam Hubbard's a good player, but he's not really that like 10 double-digit sack guy. He's like a versatile kind of run defender that can get a couple sacks here and there. And if Hendrickson can play how he did in New Orleans last year, then yeah, like this is great. Their defense will be at least decent, but and their secondary is not great either. So they really do need to generate that pass rush. Outside of Jesse Bates, like their corners are like, I think Mackenzie Alexander and I don't know who the other guy is, but like they lost William Jackson too. So like they really like that's key to them being a 7-win team. Like that's kind of where I see their ceiling.
That's like ceiling.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah. So yeah, I went with Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, like you said, this one was pretty boring. There's a couple where it's like, this team, it's not fun to talk about them. Like, obviously, like there's not much there. I almost picked T. Higgins just because of the way Jamar Chase has shown.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I just went ahead and went with Joe Mixon because they're going to need a consistent run game if we're going to figure this thing out in Cincinnati, because I don't know, man. You can't protect Joe Burrow, so you need to run the ball. All right. Running the ball protects the quarterback, helps the pass game. If the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have 4 wins, Joe Mixon needs to stay healthy all year and needs to run the ball. And they need to run the ball a lot. Joe Mixon needs to touch the ball 20 times a game.
Yeah, and I do think like that is a big factor in this too. We didn't really see. I mean, Mixon had one really good week last year, and outside of that, we didn't really see him play the way he did in past. Like, we know in the past, he's been a top 10 fantasy running back. He was kind of trending towards like can he be that next top 5 guy? And then last year he kind of fell off. But yeah, I think that's a good pick. I don't really have much excitement. I don't really want to talk about the Bengals anymore.
No, Bengals, that's it. Bengals, you just need to run the ball. Okay.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ew.
These are two guys that like 3 months ago I had never heard of. So I have two.
I also
Here.
have two, but like you definitely heard of them.
Oh, okay. So mine are either Chukwuma Okorafor, who is their starting left tackle right now, because that offensive line was atrocious last year. And honestly, I don't really think they did too much to upgrade it. So I think their confidence
they lost their starting left tackle.
Yeah. Like, so they got to replace him, and that offensive line needs to be better if they want to do anything other than throw 5-yard slants all day. Like, even for a run game, I think Najee Harris is obviously an upgrade over James Conner, but I also think that just scheme for running the ball was awful. Like, Conner wasn't as bad as last year. He's not as bad as last year showed. I think their offensive line and the running scheme in general just like limited him a lot. And the other guy I went with was James Pierre, who is an undrafted second-year cornerback who's starting opposite of Joe Hayden right now. I think that's been like the biggest position of concern for them on defense, because they let go of Steven Nelson, they let go of Mike Hilton. So, and Joe Hayden, like, he's still a pretty good corner, but like he's getting up there. So like, who knows how he'll play this year. So this guy's starting as a second-year undrafted free agent. Let's see how he does. I like, that's big for their defense.
Yeah, so I guess in the same realm as you, I didn't go with the guys I didn't know anything about. I took one guy, Joe Hayden, because of like what you just said, the concern with their secondary. It's like,
yeah.
And the division we're in, he's gonna have to go against Odell Beckham Jr. He's gonna have to go against, well, I guess the Ravens don't really have much, but he's gonna have to go against.
Hey, when Bateman's back.
Okay, but when he's back, he's also still a rookie. He's gonna have to go against Jamar Chase if Jamar Chase can figure it out, and T. Higgins. No, he's not. Who's still is John? Not John Ross. Freaking
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. So we'll see with that, and then again, piggybacking on what I said about the Ravens front seven, I picked Joe Schobert because the teams are gonna run the ball, right? Someone, you got to command the defense. I know like the Steelers defensive line has historically been pretty freaking good. It still is going to be pretty freaking good, but like they lost Bud Dupree. I don't know. Like obviously their middle linebacker was not great, whoever it was before.
They have Devin Bush, who
he plays Mike, or is Schobert play Mike? It's like whatever.
I don't really know. They're both inside.
Yeah, you have like Devin Bush, and then you need Joe Schobert. Like I think Joe Schobert's probably going to wear the green dot, and he's going to be there commanding the defense. We'll see what happens, but like defense is just so important in that particular division. That's what I chose. I didn't choose Makamura, like whatever you chose.
Yeah. The Steelers. Every time I think about them, I get less. Like at first, I was like, they're gonna be pretty good. Like I feel like they're gonna be better than people think, and I'm starting to just like feel.
Not their, at least their offense, no.
Yeah. Their defense might be legit. Like. They added Joe Schobert and Melvin Ingram in the last month.
Oh, I should have picked Melvin Ingram, but their defensive line is just so good. Like it doesn't matter. Just add a piece, like whatever.
Yeah. All right. You want to go? Let's go AFC East.
Are we not going to do the Cleveland freaking Browns?
Are
we going to wait for them?
No, they're last. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Okay, I'll do them last.
You go first. Do Browns first. I'll do.
All right, I have two for the Browns as well. All right.
Okay.
And for the Cleveland Browns, I kind of went the route of obviously don't pick. I'm not picking like the Joe Mixon of the Cleveland Browns, right? I'm not picking like the very obvious one. So for the Cleveland Browns, I'm get real passionate about this, right? I think these two, right? I think these two players, like I said before we started this, if these two players produce above what is expected of them, the Cleveland Browns could win 17 games. No, not really, but. It would be like a very pleasant surprise, and the offense would move so much nicer than it's already going to. So one, pretty obvious, Donovan Peoples-Jones, right? He's I don't know what he has the potential. He could be. He probably will at some point return kicks and punts. At some point, that's not gonna be him all the time. So if he can be proficient in that, and if he can be proficient in as I guess like a deep threat. I don't even Donovan Peoples-Jones can just do it. That does it all. He's not like a true deep threat. He's not like a true slot, but he can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is if Donovan Peoples-Jones can play like he's played in training camp, the Browns are going to be so good. And two, I picked Harrison Bryant.
Okay.
Harrison Bryant,
I like that.
he reminds me of George Kittle in a way, right? He just needs to grow up and lift some weights. Okay. Yeah. Harrison Bryant could, especially in a league now where all of a sudden tight end is like one of the most prolific positions on the field. Harrison Bryant, if he can get more involved in the offense and kind of overtake, and I say overtake David Njoku as if he didn't play more than him last year, because he kind of did. But like, it seems to me, listen, like I love Austin Hooper, right? But these other two guys are just so much more athletic and like, more playmakers, right?
Yeah.
I know Hooper is Baker's like check down safety blanket, but if Harrison Bryant can become that, and I don't gain some weight, bro, get a little bigger.
Yeah.
I think it could be like the sky's the limit for Harrison Bryant.
Okay. I like those. I feel like I could have picked like 8 people here.
That's what I'm saying. Like there were so many.
So I did go kind of more of the Joe Mixon route because I have 2, but my first one's Odell. I think that Odell, just because the Odell we've seen in Cleveland and the Odell we saw in New York, if we see closer to the kind of player Odell was before he got to Cleveland, the top 5 receiver, I think that unlocks a dimension for the offense last year. And Peoples-Jones can help with this too. Like that vertical passing game is something we did not have last year. Even though we were top 8 offense, we could run the ball. Higgins and Landry are great underneath. I think if Odell is what he has been at his peak or even close to it, that's just, I'm not expecting peak Odell. Like that's not something I'm expecting. I'm expecting, I don't know, 1,000 to 1,200 yards, like pretty good season, top 20 receiver-ish. But if he can be like a top 8 guy, which is kind of hard to do in this, with all the weapons we have, but if he can be that from a skill level, like I think that just unlocks things for this offense that like we didn't have last year. And my other guy is Grant Delpit, because I think a lot of people were saying the main reason they brought John Johnson in was because they were worried about Grant Delpit's health. And yeah, that might be true, but I do think like in an ideal world, Joe Woods can play 3 safeties a lot, like play that dime look where Delpit may be, more in the nickel or like something like that. He wants to play three safeties a lot. And I think if he can stay healthy and look like the guy he did at LSU the year before he got, or I'm sorry, 2 years before he got drafted, like, then I think that just makes things a lot easier on Joe Woods and the rest of the defense. I think we want to have that versatility with our safeties. And, John Johnson and Ronnie Harrison, they've been playing well. It looks like I don't know what's going to happen with Grant Delpit, but if he can stay healthy and play like the safety they expect him to, then I think our defense can be, a top 5 unit.
Yeah. I didn't even like, how I am. I don't really like defense. Like,
yeah.
I know the Browns defense, right?
Yeah.
No. I didn't even think about Grant Delpit, but that's like a really, really good point. It's just hard for me to be, but like you said, like I was saying before, if Grant Delpit plays well, the depth on the defense just goes crazy, because I do think the Browns will be fine. Like if for God forbid, or Thor forbid, or whatever your God is, forbid that Grant Delpit goes down again, or like it's just lingering injuries all season, the Browns will be fine.
Yeah, right? They'll be all right.
But having him healthy is just like,
Yeah.
No, I feel you. Okay. That was very passionate.
Yeah. I don't think we'll have as many as passionate as that one, but